We're live. We're back. Can you hear me okay still?
Yep.
Awesome. I got this. I thought it was going to be cool to create this like cool background, and now it's moving. So I don't like, there it is. That one will stay. So welcome everybody as the room fills in. I know that it takes a minute usually for the live to hit and then for people to show up. So that's cool. So we are here to talk about some football. And I'm excited to chat with you. I already warned Lawrence that I haven't eaten very much today. My other Gemini is out. So if I get a little feisty, don't take it personal. It's not you, it's totally me. so before we get started on this, we do have like some set questions and things that we're going to get into. However, we also want to make this just like a conversation about our teams. I feel like anytime you're playing a team that you respect, and anytime you play, a program that you're like, this is going to be a good game, it's a good conversation. So I'm super excited to have you. And yeah, as the room fills up, if I already told Lawrence, I don't know if I'm going to play my personal introduction. It just kind of depends on how I feel. But as the room starts to fill up, Lawrence, what are you thinking about this matchup? Obviously, we know the things that we're going to talk about, but when you just look at the matchup, what is the first thing that comes to mind? Because I have a word, but I'm curious to know, like, what's the first thing you think of?
Exciting. I mean, anytime you get a big time matchup like this, orthodox matchup, if you will, but out of conference game,
Yeah.
Big Ten, SEC, that's exciting. And this is going to be the first of two matchups. We talked earlier about that the next game, I believe, is in 2030, and that
Yeah.
will be in Austin. So
isn't that weird how they scheduled that? I wonder how they
series
did
like
that.
this is definitely exciting. I know Michigan also scheduled like a kind of like interconference series. They used to have one with Notre Dame, and they're going to fire that one back up as well, I believe, in
Got it.
2033. And it was
Okay.
the same thing as like is one in 2033, and I think the next one is like in 2036 or something weird.
It's so
like that.
weird.
So these are scheduled far in advance. But and this was a schedule made quite some time ago as well. But yeah, anytime you get teams that don't normally match up and play each other, especially at a home field, not at a neutral site as well.
Yeah.
Home
See,
and home series. That's definitely
that I was gonna say, like, my first word that pops up is different because like you said, usually it's at like a neutral, a bigger stadium, an NFL stadium, and it's like whatever. I think the joy of college football is when you get to go to somebody else's place, because the neutral site is fine, but like that's not it. Like I like at home, I like the home traditions, and that's
yeah.
college football. So I'm just excited because I am excited to see Texas get challenged. And I'm excited for them to either, I keep saying this, but I'm excited for them to either put up or shut up. Like it's game time. So like if you are who you say you are, do the thing you say you're supposed to do, and we'll keep it moving. I do want to say, and Lawrence already knows this, I did already record my video for how I expect things to happen and my expectations for the game. I will release that on Friday, and I wanted to record that before this conversation because I didn't want anything to skew my thought process, because I think it's real whenever I can just like rattle off things. So before we get into this, just know what you'll see on Friday was recorded well before this conversation. So just FYI. So I don't want this to be like an interview because this is about our teams collectively. So you have the questions just as well as I have the questions. So if you want me to start, I'll start, and then you can take the next one if you want. It's totally up to you. You just let me know.
Yeah, that's fine. You can go ahead and kick it off.
Okay, cool. So the very first question that we put together was somebody just put that we better change our signals in Austin, and that is hilarious.
That is pretty funny, actually.
You know what? Well played. So that's awesome. So the first question is like, what are the strengths of both of our teams? I think the strength of Texas is just experience. I think that I believe Texas has one of the top three, if not the top four, of like most returning people that are returning back to the team. And I think that is a strength. I laughingly have been telling people we are the Michigan of last year, in the sense of last year we lost in the semis. We have all the sad stories. All of the guys that thought they were going to go pro decided to come back because they wanted to see it again. And we just have a ton of experience. And I love our experience. And I think The thing I also am most excited about is Texas historically plays really good on the road. And I love that we went to Alabama last year and played really good. So I'm just curious to see like how that shows up when we travel to Michigan. So I think that's one of their strengths. And then the second thing I will say is we don't have a lot of coaching turnover. And I think when you get in these big games, I feel like that matters because the same voice, a little bit of consistency, a little bit of culture really of like we know who we are, we know what we're going to do. And so those are two things that I really think are going to be some of our strengths like heading into the big house. And can I just say, you know this, but like Michigan was my first school song and fight song that I learned as a child. So in my grown up mind, this is so fun for me because I'm like, this is what dreams are made of. Last time Michigan played Texas, I loved it because it was like like every time somebody scored or somebody did something, it was fun for me. So side note, I'm super excited about that aspect. But those are my strengths. So I'd love to hear what you think Michigan's strengths are heading into this.
Yeah, so I think the strengths are the defense. The defense from last year, a lot of people could make the argument, yeah, Michigan has lost 16 starters from last year's team. The majority of those were on the offensive side of the ball, and especially with the offensive line. But a lot of the defense or the key players from defense returned. There was some attrition to the NFL. Some players just, ran out of eligibility and they had to leave. But the best players on the defensive side of the ball returned. Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator, who honestly orchestrated the defense that they run, is the DC now. So they did lose the DC and the OC as well as Jim Harbaugh to the NFL. But the OC in place right now is Kirk Campbell, who's the quarterback's coach. So there really wasn't like a brand new system being implemented. It's pretty much a consistent system. So I would say overall continuity. Granted, primarily with the defense, the star players are back on the defense, but on the offensive side of the ball, yeah, you can say there's a opportunity there for a quarterback to take the realm and take the room, so to speak, and lead the charge. And you don't have that guy that you had last year in JJ McCarthy. But I think that's the biggest strength of the team is the continuity, primarily on the defensive side of the ball, because our defense, I think, is still going to be elite. Is going to win them some ball games, a fair share of ball games this year.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. And so the next one is, how do you think Michigan wins? But I started this, so I want you to you start. How do you think Michigan wins?
So how do I think Michigan wins? I think Michigan is going to have to stick to what they call Michigan football and winning on defense and ball control. Yeah, Quinn Ewers is a better quarterback. They definitely have some weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Like you said, a lot of the players came back and they recruited well. I mean, they have some young players that are probably going to contribute and make some big plays in this ball game in this game as well. So how do you keep that? How do you contain that talent? Keep them off the field as much as you can. And a blueprint would be something similar to what Michigan employed against Penn State last year in Happy Valley. They at one point, Sherrod Moore just said, F it, I'm going to run the ball 32 times consecutively. You're not going to do anything to stop it. And that's what they did. So is this that same offensive line with that continuity to do that? No, not yet. They didn't prove it in the first game. But, I mean, they're going to be at home, take advantage of the elements as well, being in front of your home field. It's going to be a cool day, if that matters.
We're excited about that. Okay.
It's going to be a cool day. Kickoff. The last time I checked, the kickoff is going to be close to about 60 degrees.
Oh my gosh, I would do anything for that right now.
So take advantage of the home field. Take advantage of the offensive line. Lean on them. Run the ball. Keep those playmakers offensively off the field as much as you can. So that's what I think they can do to win the game.
Okay. It's funny that you said that because I think how Texas wins is defense. So I think that one thing that I've realized people always talk about with Texas is the offense. We always talk about Ewers. We always talk about our offensive line. It's ranked like number whatever, top 5, whatever it is.
Right.
our receivers are running it like Sark, amazing play call. Everybody always talks about our offense. So I expect them to do what they're supposed to do. I think how we win this game, though, is our defense, only because Michigan has an inexperienced offensive line. And I think they should be able to stop the run. Now, if we can't stop the run, I don't know what to tell you. but I think our defense is going to be what carries us. I think our linebacker group is underrated. And I think there's a lot of guys in our linebacker room via transfer portal, via recruiting, and via people that have just been there for like 3 or 4 years that have been waiting for their turn. And this is finally their moment to like step up and have that moment. And like, what better moment to show up than against Michigan? And so I think our defense is going to be why we win this game. I think our offense is going to do what they're supposed to do, whatever that means. They'll be fine. I never worry about them. The defense I think is where is going to be the most improved that I don't think anybody's going to really talk about because everyone's going to talk about our offense.
So to that point, I think it's the exact reverse for Michigan that they have on the offensive side of the ball some playmakers that have been in the system who are looking to step up and in these type of environments, these big games, and make plays and make names for themselves, who didn't have those opportunities years past because they had seniors they were playing behind. I mean, you have Donovan Edwards, for example. He has been second fiddle pretty much his entire career. Had a slow game one. He's going to be looking to make, be that guy, be what Blake Corum was, and have his number 2 be what he was to Blake Corum last year. So that's just an example. On the offensive side of the ball, their receiver core, they're all, puppies in that receiver room. So somebody's going to have to step up this year and make a play consistently throughout the whole season. And so the quarterback won't have to rely on Colston Loveland each and every time they need a critical first down if it's 3rd and long or something like that. So there's going to be opportunity throughout the season, not only this game, but throughout the season for some offensive playmakers to make names for themselves. On the defensive side of the ball, like you mentioned, there are some transfer linebackers that are athletic who made some plays in the first game. The defensive line, the front 4 is pretty much intact, and they're hungry, they're ready, they're going to make plays. The secondary, aside from Will Johnson, you have some guys that have been in the rotation, but who's going to be that second guy to take the second, to take that leap up to be the next Will Johnson, so to speak, that hasn't been established as well. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be exciting to see, what happens in this game, how it goes. If Texas jumps up to a big lead, how does Michigan react? Vice versa. If Michigan jumps up to a lead, how does Texas react? Again, playing a game like this, Michigan they've played out of conference games early at the Big House, but it's been I can't even remember the last time they had an out of conference opponent as big as Texas come in this early in the season. So
this is like totally off how is the environment? Like last game because you guys were at home, were people excited for next week? Were people already talking about it? Like what does the energy feel like? Has it started yet? I mean, it's Monday, it's a holiday, so people aren't working today. So I'm just wondering, like, what does the energy feel like up there right now?
Yeah, the energy is still great. The Michigan fan base, there are Michigan fans and Michigan fanatics. I fall in the fan base, but there are Michigan fanatics, and they're excited about everything, every opponent, every home game, no matter who the opponent is. So, you get to see all the comments when they don't play as well as expected against an opponent like a Fresno. They don't even know anything about Fresno, what they did last year. They didn't know at one point they were 8-1 and a ranked team.
They don't care.
They just want to know, oh, we didn't score, 50 points because Texas did, and that's what we're playing next. So we need to blah. But some people on the other end, the realistic fans say, okay, it really wasn't that bad of a game. We didn't blow them out. We kept it competitive throughout 3 quarters, and then the 4th quarter we went back to our roots, ran the ball, scored, and then scored defensively to put the game away. So, the energy is still high, and there's been big anticipation for the Texas game as well, even before they played Fresno last week.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you brought Fresno. So one thing that I always say is like even us beating Colorado State 52-0, like I don't really care. Like I care because we're supposed to, but I don't care in the grand scheme of things because listen, there are some packages we didn't use. There, like every team that knows that they have a big matchup coming does that. And I've said this 1,000 times and I'll continue to say it. The thing that I think Texas has this year, again, we'll see, is their depth. And what I liked was just that we could have guys come in that we were like, oh, he's going to play this game. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Like he's okay out there. And so that's what I see these first games being like. I don't study Michigan. I'm sure Michigan did some of the same stuff where it's like, we know what our best can do. That's fine. I want to see what these other guys can do because we're going to need to plug and play them. And so I think that some people, I recorded a video that's going to release later today. I say this, I think people watch the stats, look at highlights, and think about betting, and they don't really watch the football game and see the things that are coming in and out and see the people that are coming in and out. And so my point is, what I saw Michigan do didn't make me feel any less or happy. Like I was like they did what I expected them. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't like, oh my God, they can't score it. No, I was like, oh, this is cool to like watch them see like different combinations they're going to put in. I will say the one thing that I think that is going to be an advantage for us is you all's offensive line still figuring it out. And I think that's probably like, I noticed that last year, like after you guys won the national championship, I was like, oh God, how are we going to compete with this O-line? Like, how are we going to do this? And then I was like, oh, okay, we don't have to compete with that O-line. We get a new O-line. So I'm excited about that because it's one of those things where, listen, this is week 2. It's a big matchup. We both want to win. I got it. But for me, this is also big to see how we fare because we're heading to the SEC. And so I need to see what we look like against good competition. I mean, we play Georgia. I don't give a damn about Oklahoma, but we play them and whatever. And so I need to see like what we look like against like competition because after this, we play like, I don't know, UTSA and, just like some randoms. And so it's like, whatever. I need to see what we look like against like competition.
I think after Texas is Arkansas State and then USC actually comes to the big house the following week.
Yeah. So it's like, this is just a good, what's that word? Litmus test. Is that the right word?
Definitely.
Yeah. It's like a good test of like, who are we? Are we who we think we are? And if we're not, where can we get better? And can we get better? So will be helpful. So we kind of talked about this, but what are some things when you just look at the matchup that you think concern you just based off what you know about your team?
So, yeah, we kind of agreed on about 3 things to talk about. So if I was to narrow it down to 3, I was number 1 would be the inexperience in the receiver room. Someone has to step up and be that alpha again to complement Colston Loveland because he's the best tight end in America, in my opinion. But I mean, everyone in America knows that, and I think Texas for sure is going to know that and guard him accordingly. So someone on the outside has to step up and make a play consistently and be that valve for Davis Warren if he's going to start and continue to be the starting quarterback, particularly when they get to 3rd and long. And that brings me to number 2, 3rd and long.
3rd and long.
I don't feel confident in the offense today. If they are in 3rd and 6 or more, it's going to be like a head scratcher. Like, how are they going to get the first down aside from targeting Colston Loveland when he's double? Who's going to make that play to get him a first down? And then, if they go down more than 2 scores, if they're down 10 or more, will they have the offense to come back from a deficit of 10 or more from a team like a Texas that has that talent to put you away if they put you down, by 2 scores? So those are the 3 primary things. They're all offensive related. I'm not concerned about the defense one bit. I think the defense will be okay for this game. Throughout the season, like you said, in the first game, there was a lot of 2 deep, like well into the first quarter. I was looking like, who but
who
like
are these guys?
Trying to get young guys on the field who not necessarily played last year, things of that nature. I'm not worried about the defense one bit if they stick to their guns and play their dogs throughout this game. But the offense is concerning if they get into disadvantaged situations such as 3rd and long or down multiple scores where they have to make that up and come back and win the game, even if they're at home. Those are the
Can
most.
I just say, was your last take your issue in the championship game? If it was that your take last year, like if they got behind?
Yeah. If
Okay.
they got behind by multiple scores, did they have the offense to come back and overcome that deficit? I wasn't worried about and then I wasn't worried about them playing close, but one score game or even ahead because of that defense. But
Got it.
Did they have the offense to overcome a 2-score deficit to go score, score to score with somebody, a la what they did against, the year they played in
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I think that it's so interesting how you're like how you guess like the consistency of Michigan like should not be understated. And I think that it's kind of like San Antonio Spurs, right? Where like they were winning and they were just very consistent, but people were like, but it's so boring. But you're like, but it's basketball and like it works. So like I don't care if it's boring, I don't care if it doesn't look good, like it just works. And so I appreciate that about Michigan. Obviously, I was cheering for them last year too, because like in my heart, I went to Michigan. I did not, but anyways, that's neither here or there. I think the things that concern me for Texas is our D-line, mainly because I just don't know. And our D-line was so dominant last year. And then obviously we lost two of the 4 that were really dominant last year. We lost those guys. Depending on how deep you are in Texas talk, some people would say 1.5 loss because of just the effort and some of the things that were happening off the field. But still, we lost 2 guys that went to the NFL, went very high in the NFL. So you have to replace those guys. And so that's a concern. I think the other concern for me, and it will always be a concern for me until our secondary proves that they can handle it, is their secondary. And to be funny, they are the most experienced group that we have. I think some of our guys back there have literally been with Texas for 3 to 4 years, which is crazy and unheard of because nobody stays at their program that long, that consistently. So our secondary should be a strength this year, but I will be concerned until they prove it. And I think what better way to prove it? Going against a quarterback that doesn't have very much experience. So they will be a concern for me until they prove to me that I should shut up and stop talking about them. That's just how I feel. And then the third concern is going to be our run game. Obviously, losing Baxter hurts. And I think Texas has recruited well at that position, but we still lost our stud. It is what it is. And so I'm very curious to see how they generate runs. And I'm of the belief I don't need my running back to break for 6 yards, 5 yards, every time. But I do need to see him falling forward. and so I'm just interested to see what our run games looks like. And then I'm going to give like a 3B. I'm going to cheat a little bit here. My other concern is Steve Sarkisian not taking the points. So many times it's kind of like Detroit's coach. It's like, I love it because you're consistent and that's who you are and that's what you do. And I can respect it. And at the same time, I can be yelling at the TV for you to kick the freaking field goal. I just almost went in. So that is something that I'm going to also, I'm going to trust Sark. You know how I feel about trusting coaches. I have this whole thing. This is the year he's supposed to earn my trust, but it's something that I'm going to be paying attention to if he's going to take the points or if he's going to say, my team's better than your team. Let's see what we got. I hope he does not do that, but I'll leave it where that. So that's a concern for me with Sark. And I love Sark and, whatever. But it's just one of those things where I'm like, if this guy does not kick this freaking field goal, I will scream.
So do you think is a chance he'll be that aggressive in an environment like this on the road? If the situation calls for it?
Yes, because it's Texas culture.
Okay.
Like the culture of Texas football is aggressive, is aggressive. And I mean, his slogan is all gas, no brakes. Like that's our culture. He's built the culture that way. He's been doing it since even when we were 5-7, even when we were 8-4, he was doing it. It's just how he coaches. So yeah, and I think some teams might see it as like disrespect. It has nothing to do with you, and it has everything to do with like that's the culture that he's built at Texas. Like, we're going. And when he squats down, I'm just like, here we go. Here we go. He's flipping that playbook, and so yeah, I do think he would go for it only to prove. I don't want to say to prove a point, but that's kind of like the culture he's established at Texas is aggression. So, listen, high risk, high reward.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else to tell you.
That was definitely the case in the NFC title game. So.
To be fair, though, if the freaking guy catches the ball, it works. It hit him in the hands. Like, catch the ball. And so the other thing about Sark that's interesting, though, is looking back to last year, there was only one game where him being aggressive didn't pay off, and it was Oklahoma. Every other game, even against Alabama, against Kansas State, he did some things where I was like, and then it worked. And there was somebody else, he was pretty aggressive and it worked. And so it's like, again, if it's going to be your culture, I respect it, right? Don't do something that I don't normally see you do.
Right.
So I respect it. So this isn't a question that we talked about, or that we said that we were going to talk about. What do you think the X factor is going to be? Like, what is something that you think for Michigan that no one is talking about, and it's going to end up being an X factor?
History. So they actually showed a stat as we were watching the USC LSU game in the Discord yesterday. A stat flashed up on a ticker. Michigan is 28-0 in their last since 2015 in their home games at the Big House. 28-0. Won every home game in August and in the month of August and September, dating back to 2015. So that's definitely going to be an X factor in my opinion, and that's one thing that I'm counting on as an X factor for Michigan to pull it out. Just the environment, something
being at home.
And that is not only an X factor that I have for this game, but for the other tough home games that Michigan has to play this year against the USC, against the Oregon. They have to come to the Big House, and these teams don't normally haven't. If they have, it's been ages since they played in the Big House, and those are, in my opinion, going to be X factors to pull these victories out. Just as well as I have Michigan losing to Ohio State this year because the game is in Columbus. Couple that with the fact that I think Ohio State is a more talented team on paper this year than what Michigan is, this season. So I think that home field is definitely going to be an X factor, along with the history that has been. They haven't lost a game at home, period, since 2019, which was Ohio State, the last game of the season. It was in the Big House, and that Ohio State team came into the Big House and beat them, but they haven't lost a game in the month of August and September at the Big House. They're 28-0 since 2015. So I think those are going to play factors, just being in that environment, something different. You would like to think a talented football team could take his act on the road and play anywhere, anytime. But like we were talking about, it just doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that.
Football, which I actually enjoy and relish that they're playing this game at the Big House, and then the next one would be in Austin, not on a neutral field, not at Jerry's World or anything like that. This is what I want to see going forward. These big time matchups in season, interconference, between conferences, at each other's home fields.
Me too. I think our X factor is going to be our linebackers. I don't think anybody's ever going to talk about them. I don't think anybody's ever going to look at their stats. I don't think anybody's ever going to look up who we have there. I don't think anybody's going to care. I don't think anybody realizes how good they are. And that's fine. I think that's going to be our X factor. And the funny thing is, the linebackers are the guys that showed up in all of our big games. So like last year, like if I'm just looking at last year, and the funny thing is, even when I'm looking at Texas when we were 8-4, and Alabama came to Austin, and we beat Kansas State, like looking back like a couple of years ago, and the funny thing is, it was these exact same linebackers. It's just nobody ever talks about them because I don't know why, but our linebackers are really good. They're really seasoned. And one of my favorite freshmen is a linebacker too. And he has his own package, which we didn't see much of that. So if he has his own package, Colin Simmons, number 11, is my favorite. He's one of my favorite freshmen this year. So yeah, I think our linebackers is the group that no one's talking about. Everybody talks about everything else. You know, you can't not talk about our offense. I get it. But it's just, and then obviously you can't not talk about the lack of D line since the guys went to the NFL. Got that. Then our secondary was so bad that, you know, you got to talk about that. But it's like, I think our linebackers is, though they make me the most comfortable, and they make me the most like, oh, okay, well, let's get those guys. Like if all else fails, like let's see what those guys can do. So that's kind of how I feel about them. And then like our sophomore stud, Anthony Hill Jr. was the Mike this weekend, which is a shocker because he's a sophomore. But listen, like go out there, Anthony, do your thing, bro.
Playmaker.
Yeah, let them loose, like let them go, let them fly, let them soar. So I think that that's something that people just won't talk about because you know how it is. They don't talk about the nitty gritty. They're going to talk about the flashy and all the great things and the Isaiah Bond and Ryan Wingo and all the things, which is fine, but whatever. Listen, I'm an AFC North girl. I have to talk about the linebackers because that's just how I roll. So if Texas,
Ryan Wingo, you just throwing out 5-star. Ryan Wingo, Colin Simmons, another 5-star, another 5-star, another 5. So that's one thing I would say about Michigan. They don't traditionally get those top tier, highly rated 5-stars of their program. They've done a good job over the years developing high 3, 4-star players to 5-star level caliber players, and by the time they leave the program, their first round draft picks. Look at some of the best players they have on the team right now, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. Kenny Grant and Mason Graham, the 2 defensive tackles.
Were they 3-stars?
They definitely weren't 5.
They weren't even stars. Okay. You know what's funny?
I think they were 3 stars, 3 or 4.
I saw something on Twitter where people were like, this is the old school development method versus the flashy 5-star, whatever. And it's so funny because like, that's actually not who we are, but it looks like that's who we are. There's this weird thing that happens and they do this with Texas fans. I think they think we're all like stuck up and like don't grind it out, and we're like glitz and flashy and all these things. And I'm like, we aren't. Like, yes, we have 5 stars. We're the University of freaking Texas, for crying out loud. Yes, but that's not. You know what I mean? Like we got some guys on there that we've had to develop too. It's just, I don't know. I think it looks that way because it looks that way, but like we got some guys that are not. I already made my thumbnail for my video. One of those guys you'll see on my thumbnail because he's a linebacker and I'm representing for the linebackers this week. But I think it's funny. Do you think Texas is better than Michigan on paper?
On paper, yes.
Okay.
On paper, I do.
Okay.
And I think I've said it before. If this was at a neutral field, I wouldn't have Michigan winning the game. And if it was in Austin, I wouldn't have Michigan winning the game. I think that, again, the X factor of them playing in Ann Arbor.
So it's
those elements and playing in 60-degree weather, and I think that's going to elevate them along with a dominant defense and running game, keeping their playmakers off the field offensively, and not turning the ball over on offense. Are going to be keys to win the game. I think they can actually get that done. I feel more confident of that happening at home versus
interesting
or on the road.
It's kind of funny because the things that you see as perks for you all, I also see them as positives for us as well. So that's actually pretty interesting because, I mean, obviously it's hot as hell here. So that, whatever, we don't have to worry about that. Like, none of our guys should be cramping because at this point it should be like a vacation because it's so freaking hot here. And then we play really good on the road. We like hostile environments. I don't know why. I think it's because we're used to people doing horns down and all the things that like gets us fired up. But I think that's how good teams are supposed to be. Like, good teams are supposed to walk in and be like, we don't care who any of you are. We don't care. Like, we're here to play football.
Yeah.
So
that's supposed to happen.
yeah. So I think it'll be interesting to see how Texas adjusts to that. Obviously, week 2, it'll be interesting. And that's why I think all the guys that traveled last year will be interesting to see how they show up this year. Because I was worried about them going to Alabama until I think I said this in one of my videos. There was a point where I had a couple of friends there and somebody sent me a video and I was like, send me another video. And I realized that Texas was just being them. And I was like, they're about to beat Alabama. Like, they're about to beat them. I don't know how, I don't know, but it's just like, you know, good teams, when you see their swag, you're like, let them do their thing. So I don't know. It'll be a fun matchup to see what happens. So I'm going to reverse this because what I wrote was if Texas wins, and I was going to answer that. Instead, I'm going to let you answer if Texas wins, then it will be because of this, and I will answer if Michigan wins, it will be because of, and I'll think of, and I think I know what I'm going to say, but
okay.
But you go first.
I'm
putting on the spot, and you go first.
Yeah, because I had the opposite in my head. So if Texas wins, it will be because, or in my opinion, if Texas wins, I think they will come in the big house and jump out on Michigan early, take an early lead, silence the crowd, take the crowd out of the game, number one. And honestly, do what they want to on offense. They'll score. Michigan won't have an answer. And then defensively, they'll turn the ball over, turn the quarterback over. Because I don't think the running backs are pretty sure-handed. I don't see them fumbling. But
are the quarterbacks good?
So this is what I kind of explained it yesterday.
Oh, I was watching volleyball yesterday, and if you didn't watch volleyball yesterday, you're bad. Volleyball was live on ABC.
This is the quarterback situation in Michigan right now. It's like JJ McCarthy split in half. So you have his athletic ability in Alex Orji on one side, and then you have a pocket passer and Davis Warren on the other, who doesn't have much athletic ability at all. He's not a risk taker, but he's not going to go out there and make a play either. So he's going to, dink and dunk, make the safe passes, but he's not going to play make. That's what you lose when you put a Davis Warren on the field. He's very reminiscent of a quarterback that started 3 years ago by the name of Cade McNamara. He's now in Iowa. He's the starting quarterback for Iowa. And it's pretty much the same system, at least at the beginning of the season that they're running, because they ran a 2-quarterback system in 2021 as well. Okay. And when they had a freshman, JJ McCarthy, as the athletic quarterback coming in there and, doing bootlegs and things like that. That's how they have Alex Orji playing right now. He's coming in to run bootlegs, quarterback draws, quarterback sweeps. He threw the ball one time against Fresno State, and it wasn't a good pass.
Oh, I think was that the one that dropped like 2 yards before?
It was definitely a dirt ball. It was a dirt ball.
Hold on a second. Michigan doesn't have a quarterback?
They have Davis Warren. Davis Warren is the starter. But I told you, it's like Davis Warren. So this is what happened. Everyone anticipated that Alex Orji was going to take the job in the offseason because he's the more athletic of the two, but he just didn't develop as a passer to be trusted to run the whole show, a la JJ McCarthy last year, because he's just not that great of a passer at all. He has the athletic ability. He's chiseled. He's like 6'3", 230.
He looks good.
He can run a 4.3, 4.4, but he can't make plays in the passing game. He's too inconsistent throwing the football. Davis Warren has been in the system for 3 years now, and he's a feel good story. You know, he had leukemia in high school, came back from that, was a walk on initially, got his scholarship, earned his scholarship because he had some good camps in the spring games in years past. He really looked good this spring game. He actually threw the ball very well in the spring game, and I guess continued that momentum in the fall and won the job. So again, he doesn't offer much as playmaking. He's not going to go out there and, hey, drop back and throw the ball 40 times a game and win the game. But he's kind of like a mistake-free, non-risk taker either. So I trust him back there more so than I do Alex Orji for the entirety of the game. I still want to have Alex Orji run some plays like they did against Fresno State due to his athletic ability. And he did that. He got in the game, got a few first downs on some sweeps and draws and things like that. They let him throw the ball one time. It was a dirt ball. They said, okay.
I saw that.
Back to Davis Warren. Davis Warren finished out the game. No issues. But it's not like a quarterback controversy and the ship is falling and we need to go in the portal right away. No.
Davis because you have a good defense, right? Like at the end of the day,
it's still elite. So
yeah, at the end of the day, like that's what. If anybody has any questions, drop them in the chat. We'll get to your questions here in a minute. If you have any questions, and I learned how to star them. So if you ask a question and you feel like we didn't see it, I'll star it and we can go back to it. So we have a couple of quarterbacks. Would you like Trey Owens? He's really good.
Here's
coming out of Texas.
This is what they're doing. They're actually trying to develop. They have a freshman by the name of Jaden Davis.
Okay.
Keeping a seat warm from him. It's going to be his job next year, more than likely. He is a playmaker. He is more of a playmaking quarterback, but he's a true freshman right now, and they don't want to throw him in the wolves right now. He came in the spring game and looked decent for a true freshman. He's an early enrollee as well, but they don't want to turn it over to him right yet. You know, if necessary, when they have quarterbacks that have been in the system, give them a chance just not to lose the game. Rely on the defense, run the ball. That's going to be
literally.
Sure, yeah.
So if Michigan wins is going to be because we couldn't stop the run. Because I think everywhere else that I look, we are either better or about the same.
Okay.
And that's the one thing that I just don't know because I haven't seen it. And, you know, Colorado State got like 100 and whatever yards, but that happens when, you know, it is
playing the threes, playing the fours.
Yeah. Again, another reason why I tell people, I'm like, you're looking at stats, you're looking at the wrong thing. And so I think if Texas can go in there and stop the run, if Texas cannot stop the run, Michigan will win this game. And it's going to be one of those games where you just sit back and you're like, nothing else matters because Michigan can control the clock. And they're getting, 6 yards a carry or whatever it happens to be. And it doesn't matter that the quarterback is whatever. It doesn't matter the offense line is whatever because they're able to get a push. And Texas can't stop the run. So that's my thing. Can I just say this? And I don't think it's going to sound arrogant. I think this is factual. If it's anything else, Texas has a different problem. Because, period. Because that's the only thing on paper where it's like, I think you all historically, and I don't think anybody will argue as of today, have a better defensive line than we do. And so I think that might be something we can all agree with as football fans is right now on paper and what we see, Michigan has a better defensive line. So if it's anything else, I will be pissed. I will be like, you guys are frauds. like if it's anything else, I will, yes, I will, whatever. The other thing I think that Texas does sneaky good, and I'm curious to see how this happens, is our special teams. I'm curious to see what we look like on punt return.
Okay.
I think we have a couple of guys. We saw one of them, and then Sark was like, yep, come on out. No more. We're not doing this again. And there's a couple of guys that can go on punt return that I think can make an impact. And again, it's special teams. People usually never talk about special teams. We only talk about, so I'm very curious to see what we do on punts. I'm curious.
Now, what about the kicking game? How's Texas kicker?
He's good. He's ranked. He's a 5-star. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. I don't even think
Five star kicker too, huh?
do kickers even get stars?
Yeah,
Is that
they're
real?
not different. They get
Oh,
ratings,
okay.
but it's like a different rating scale. But you can't be a 5 star kicker. It's just not equivalent to a
Yeah.
5 star skill position player.
He's not a five. I don't even know what he is, honestly. He's just been there for a long time. He's pretty good though. He's the funny thing is in one of my conversations, somebody mentioned, I was like, what is something you don't think people are talking about? And they were like, our kick game, our kicker can kick a field goal from 55 or whatever. And I was like, who talks about that? Like,
It may come down
but
to a 50 yarder. That's a big thing in college if you can kick from 50 plus.
well,
Michigan
that was
they
that's
just
his thing.
acquired a kicker from Arkansas State. Actually, he's a transfer in from Arkansas State. He did make 250 plus yarders against Fresno State a couple of days ago. So it looks like he's pretty sound.
If this game comes down to our kicker, I will be pissed.
Yeah, that's something.
Like,
That's something different than what you said. Yeah, anything other than that initial issue of stopping a run that you mentioned.
exactly. I'm very worried about us stopping the run. Like I'm very concerned. Everybody I talked to was like, don't be concerned. We have this guy. We have this guy. And I'm like, I know, but you still have to stop it. You still have to stop it. And I also know that Michigan is coached well, right? So if we're not stopping it, they're not going to pass the ball. They're going to keep running the ball, which they should. And so I'm just curious to see what it's going to look like. So who knows? Who knows?
They'll take a shot here and there, but they're very selective when they do it. Again, they tried that against Fresno, and
I wish I had the video of the skipped ball. I'm sorry, because
yeah, it was pretty bad. I looked at Twitter. It's all over Twitter. They're like, "Oh, this is why Alex Orji's not playing." And I'm like, "Come on, it's just one pass. He's not playing as a starter, as the feature, because he got beat out in camp. So there were probably many passes like that.
We'll never see
the spring game and fall camp, and he wasn't able to take reins of that job. So yeah, he's going to be sprinkled in. I expect them to continue with that 2 QB system. It may not be to the extent that they ran it against Fresno State. Like you said, I think there were a lot of loops in that game. Like I was looking at rotations throughout the whole game. Like why is these players are not on the star guys not on the field at this certain time? And then it seemed like as they got into the fourth quarter, they went into their bread and butter, and that's when we saw probably what we're going to see if things go according to plan against Texas, more so than what they ran in the first 3 quarters. They were trying a lot of stuff. A quarterback tried to go over the top. He had a guy made a good play on the ball from Fresno State, and like I said on the live yesterday with Trucking, it was Ken Griffey's cousin who intercepted the ball. He made an incredible play.
Catch it like he was catching a baseball?
He did.
Did you over the shoulder?
Yeah, he literally
love that.
He made a heck of a play, intercepted the pass, and yeah, he was the defensive backs for Fresno State. They were aggressive. They did not allow much at all. Every pass that the Michigan wide receivers did catch, they had to earn because they were not backing down. They were very aggressive. And I mean, that coach, Tim Skipper, black coach, he had them ready to play. I won't lie. I mean, they played hard the entire game. They on defense. They were hitting. I mean, they didn't lie down. They weren't saying, yeah, you guys are going to have 300, 400 yards rushing against us. No.
Yeah.
And it took them a
while.
while.
Cute, but not here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they have to earn that win. But yeah, we'll see. But like I said, on the same token, there were a lot of rotations. They were going 2 and sometimes even 3 deep in the first quarter, and I'm just like.
There was one time I looked, and I was like, I don't even know this guy. So, and it's not a knock on the guy, not a knock on him.
Yeah.
But it's just like, okay, like what is this? And but I get it. That's what you're supposed to do. I get it because listen, I was the same way with Texas, and I was like, who is this guy? And then somebody was like, he's like 4th string, and I was like, oh, okay. But the other thing I will say that I think is interesting is I want to see how Texas reacts to being Texas. Like you're ranked number 3 in the nation.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like I want to see. This is whenever you build a program, this is the goal, right? You're 5-7, you're 8-4, you're building. You build your program to be good. And for people to think that you're good and for people to have expectations of you, and then for you to show up and live up to those expectations. You're not catching anybody off guard anymore. Nobody is doubting that you have the skills. Nobody is doubting your toughness anymore. Like now it's time. And I want to see what that looks like. Like I'm curious. I'm curious to see how we carry that. I don't know. I don't know. Like, and the funny thing is though, some of the younger guys that we have came from really, really, really good high school programs that are used to being good and used to being the guys that might not play a lot. So I'm also curious to see like what that looks like, because that's part of this whole recruiting game, right? Like, yeah, you can recruit them and bring them in and they're phenomenal. But if this is the first time that they've ever had to sit behind somebody because in the state championship or whatever, they were the guy, like, I'm curious to see what that looks like, because I think that's part of team management that a lot of people just don't talk about. So we'll see.
Something that just came to mind when you that brought to mind when you mentioned that point is something about Quinn Ewers. So Quinn Ewers began his college football career at Ohio State. Just thought about that.
He did.
Now, I think he mentioned something in the offseason about this school as well.
He still calls you guys the school. He calls you guys the school up north.
Yeah, school up north. That's definitely going to be bulletin board material, by the way.
Yeah, it should be.
That's going to be bulletin board material. I just thought about that when you mentioned the high school thing and just the rivalry of it all. Because I'm like, okay, is there any extra incentive in this matchup right here with these teams not playing each other? Obviously, what a matchup like a Texas and Alabama, their state implications. Players from Alabama that go to Texas, players from Texas that go to Alabama, players that played each other in high school. Some sort of long-standing rivalry or outside of the schools that are playing in that particular matchup. But I'm like, yeah, is there anything that could equate to that for this particular rivalry here? And that's the only thing I think of is the Quinn Ewers went to Ohio State. And he still refers to Michigan as a school up north, and that's bulletin board material for sure.
Yeah, and it's people don't know this because they're like, play Arch. I'm like, that's what keeps Ewers in that starting position.
Yeah.
Is that I don't want to call it arrogance. It's not arrogance, but that confidence to just he's sure of himself. He's going to say what he wants to say, and then he's going to go out there and he's going to show you. But again, are you ready for that? Right? Like, it's cool when you say it, but can you back it up? And that's again, his teammates loved it, and it's like, cool, talk trash. I don't care, but show up. Like, show up. If you're going to step up in the pocket, effing run the football, but that's a whole different conversation. I won't get on it. But like, again, like you knew what you were saying when you said it. So if you're going to do it, you better call in some guys to back you up on it. So, and then everyone's like, we want to see Arch. And I keep telling people, I'm like, be careful if you say you want to see Arch, because
be very careful in the scenario you want to see Arch in. You don't want to see him
on the road at Michigan
as a result of the Quinn Ewers being knocked out of the game, and they're down 7, 3rd and 8. You know what I'm saying? And Arch has to come in and now make a play.
Right. We don't want to see that. Right. And that's the thing. It's like, but again, it's like, that's where I always say, are we ready for this? Are we ready? Are we ready to know that if anybody goes down, we have a stud coming in behind him?
Yep.
Are we ready for that? Because the only guy that might not be replaceable might be Kelvin Banks, left tackle, because I think he's projected to go first round, and his backup though is pretty solid. Like, I don't want to lose our left tackle, don't get me wrong, but like, he might be the only guy that I would say, now if his backup comes in, whatever. But some of these other guys, it's like, yeah, I know we have a guy, but we don't want to see the guy. The guy didn't beat out the guy, so leave him where he's at. Keep him on the sidelines. But we'll see. So I just want to see, we didn't get any like crazy comments, which is good. So I think everybody's kind of on the same like path that we're on. Somebody said go blue, but I must admit I'm a little worried about y'all. I think y'all is Texas, which is fine.
He said, let me rephrase. I am a lot worried as a Michigan fan. We got to run and hope.
Let me rephrase.
The
I'm a lot worried.
The turnover.
Yeah.
So
and there's going to be opportunities for that because Texas will, that's the way our offense is structured. That there will be opportunities. And it's curious, it's interesting. So I was watching, which team was I watching? The year that the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, their offensive line, like I felt like every game their offensive line would get like 97 penalties, but they would always find ways to win because they were just better.
Yep.
And so that's one of those things where it's like, what are you going to do? I'm excited to see yours. I'm actually really excited to see yours play. I don't know what he's going to do, but I'm excited to see him play. The ground ball was that bad. Oh, the
dirt ball that Alex Orji threw. Yeah, it was bad.
It was pretty.
It was bad.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. What was it? Did you see the whole video to see the receiver after he saw that?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's been replaying all over.
Okay.
So yeah, I've seen it multiple times. It was pretty bad.
I feel like the collective player that he was kind of like, oh god, like, what was that?
Yeah, it was like because they were only bringing him in for like sweeps, and they really weren't options. It was RPOs, but he was pulling it and running it every time. So he got us, and then they take him out is after he got the first downs. I think he got like 3 first downs in a row, not consecutively, but when he was inserted in the game. So he got a first down on a run, and they gave him a second play. And it was just like, oh my God, they gave Alex Orji second play. He's going to stay in. And then he rolled out, threw a pass, and hit the ground, and he just ran to the sideline. Like, yeah, I know I won't have a third play in a row. So I'm not sure if we saw him the rest of the game. Maybe one other running play after that, if that. But I don't think we saw him miss the Orji the rest of the game after that bad pass. So
yeah, so there was like a clip up where somebody was like, Texas, wins 52-0, but let's not even talk about that. Let's talk about this pass against the team they're going to play next week. And I was like, it can't be that bad. Oh, did he just throw the ball in the dirt? That's what I was like. Then I was like, you know what? They were rotating in guys. It's not that. Like, come on. But maybe it is that. Hell, what do I know? And then here's Alpha Rose. Sorry, I love Michigan, but I don't feel good about this game for them. Valid. Oh, and then he said quarterback issues.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. What is the line? What is the
line? When I checked earlier, was 6.5.
For Texas?
Yeah.
Well, duh. For Texas.
Texas minus 6.5.
Well, good teams cover.
It was 5.5 yesterday, and this is up to 6.5 now. So
what was it before the game? What was it before Texas played and before Michigan played? Do we know?
I believe it was -4. Texas.
So it's sliding.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you.
Would I rather lose to Texas and beat Oregon? Oh, that's Pastor Corey.
Oh, it's Pastor Corey.
Right.
What would you rather?
Detroit. My Detroit brother. So I'd rather beat both Pastor Corey.
Let's be honest. If we weren't friends, he would probably rather lose against Texas and then beat Oregon. But the problem is we're friends. So if he loses to Texas, depending on how the playoffs go and all that stuff, that's going to be a harder loss. Although I will say I'm a good winner. Like I'm not. I hate those people that like their team wins and then you have to hear about it and all that. I'm not that. So.
Yeah, I don't want to take that trade off. I'd rather and
And worry about Oregon later.
Worry about Oregon is a conference game, so I mean we're gonna see Oregon again down the road if we lose to Oregon. We won't see Texas until 2030, and 6 seasons. Who knows how either of these teams are going to look by then? Is going to be in Austin, but that's all.
Who knows if we'll get all these 5 stars?
Exactly. So with that being said, I'd rather for that reason, if I were to choose one, I'd rather the victory be against the out of conference opponent.
Yeah, fair. Cool. Well, I don't have anything else to add. We're at an hour. I think this is where I wanted to be. If you have anything else you can comment on. I just want to say that it's this might catch some heat, but I'm going to say it. I don't really care. One of the things that I've realized with watching college football is there's like levels to things. Mm-hmm. And there's just like, and as you move up in levels, your expectations start to change. And I don't know where I'm at in levels as far as like, Texas, I'm not willing to say as of today that Texas is up at the upper echelon of programs. They should be. Historically, they should be. That's the goal. We're close. I don't know if we're there yet, right? But like, it's just nice to be here and to be able to have these conversations about like a good matchup, a solid college football matchup that we know everyone is going to be tuned in. If you look at the schedule for this week, the schedule is a joke. I feel like there's only probably like 2 or 3 games in college football this week that I think are kind of like, ooh, I have to watch that. It just so happens the teams I'm watching are in 2 of them, which this game, and then Colorado's playing Nebraska. So it's like, who doesn't want to watch Colorado play Nebraska?
Exactly.
And so it's interesting that this matchup is happening week 2. Is college game days going to be in Michigan, right?
College game day will be here. The big noon kickoff will also be here.
Okay. So does that mean we get Gus on the call?
I believe so. I think it is going to be on the Fox game. So I think that should be.
Is it going to be him and Klatt?
Let me check. I think so.
Gus and Klatt. I love them calling games. I love their I love his excitement.
I like Gus. He's from here.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be perfect. So is he kind of a homer?
He tries not to be, but yeah, he definitely is.
You got to be. I love that.
He definitely is when Michigan plays. I mean, he wears the Cartier glasses and everything, so he's definitely a bit of a homer. I think it is that.
Who's calling the Nebraska-Colorado game? I thought that game was on Fox too. Did I make that up?
I thought that game was on NBC.
Oh.
Don't quote me on that, but I didn't think that game was on Fox.
Is it? Listen, at this point, I don't care as long as I get Gus at some point this weekend. I can't find it. Where are they playing at? No one in the chat is saying anything. Is this on ESPN or what?
Let me see. Nebraska, Colorado. Streaming channel.
Hey, Rawhide. Rawhide, do you know what channel?
It's NBC, 7:30 p.m. So I don't know who will call that game on NBC.
How did NBC get that game? That's weird as hell. Okay, so we have.
I think Michigan's first game was on NBC, if I'm not mistaken.
Does Michigan have a thing with the Big Ten?
NBC,
do they have a TV?
I think NBC does.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think that might be newer, but I believe the Michigan game was the last week's Michigan a couple of days ago was on NBC as well. So yeah, I thought I saw that this game was on NBC. NBC 7:30 p.m. So I think what's the quarterback? Texas quarterback.
Which one?
What's his name?
Yours?
No. Who's
Manning?
Calling the games for NBC now?
Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy.
Yeah, it's a new TV deal.
Yeah,
NBC
yeah.
announces 24. Yeah, okay.
So I think Colt
Oh,
McCoy is going to call that game, that Colorado game. If I were to bet, I
oh,
think
that's
he
going
was.
to be interesting. That's an interesting change of pace. Huh. Well, listen, I don't care. We get Gus. I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm
Gus
excited.
Johnson is definitely going to
'Cause
call that game for Michigan. I'm almost
I'll
certain.
be all this is how I'll be watching the game at the beginning anyway, because like it takes me a minute to like get in tuned. But he like I can just hear his voice now being excited as soon as it comes on the TV. I can just see it.
It's going to be
So
pretty big with both shows here. The big new kickoff,
yeah.
college game day. Get Desmond Howard, get to come back
Oh,
to the big
nice.
house.
Have they announced who's the special guest this week?
They haven't yet. They haven't yet. It'll
They
probably
gotta bring out Vince Young.
they won't bring him to the big house.
Just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But you know why I
He'll
said
be
that,
there. He'll
right?
probably. I won't be surprised if he's there.
Yeah.
I won't be
But you know
surprised if
why I said
Ray
that,
Jackson
right?
is here.
Because the last time Texas played Michigan, Vince Young beat them in 2005.
That is
So
right.
that's the other reason why I said that.
That is
Like
correct.
you
It was
can't bring up Vince Young.
37, 33. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is correct.
It,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So so we need to figure out who they're bringing on special guests. I'm excited. I'm excited. And you know what? I am not ashamed to admit it. I am so excited to hear that Michigan fight song. As soon as the telecast starts, I will be in my seat and I will be ready for it. And it will be like music to my ears. And I will be like, play that beautiful fight song for me one time, please. So there's that. So there's only a certain amount of teams that when I hear that fight song, I don't get upset. One of them is Michigan, USC. Play that fight song. Let me hear it. Just let me hear it one time. So I'm all in.
Yeah,
Anyways, before
Michigan's
we
fight song is embedded in my head like permanently. Whether
it's
I like that or not is
I
like
it
all my
it
life.
is.
So,
Yeah, I feel that way and I don't hear it near as much as you do. And it's like I love it. And you know why? It's college football. Like it's almost like when you go and you smell like certain foods or whatever and it reminds you of like being a child. That Michigan fight song reminds me of college football.
yeah.
It just it's that's what it feels like for me. So anyways, before we end this, because we are off today and we're going to do whatever else we want to do for the rest of the day. Is there anything else you want to say? Anything else? I don't think anybody got hurt from our team. I don't think anybody got hurt from you all's team, right? No injuries.
No
Okay,
injuries.
cool. So everyone's full strength. So there's no whatever. Perfect weather, hopefully, because it's in the middle of the day. Should be fine.
12 noon
This is
kickoff. Looks like right now forecast is going to be about 60 degrees right at kickoff.
I should be in Michigan.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty cool.
I dropped the ball on this one.
It is supposed to rain the night before, so that may play a factor as far as the field being a little bit slick. We're supposed to get some thunder showers Friday evening. That may impact the field, obviously being outdoors Saturday or for early Saturday kickoff. But at least the forecast for Saturday doesn't look like it's going to continue. The rain is going to pour into Saturday early afternoon, so it should be a nice day. Like I said, about 60. Both players, both teams seem to have avoid injuries in week one, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Like I said,
time.
The spread is 6.5. I expect the spread to increase by game.
I do. Yeah, I think it's going to get up to probably 8.
Yeah, 8 or 9.
So I'm just going to say this, and it's in my video that we'll release Friday. I'm like, I think we're going to win between 7 and 10. I literally said that because it's my video. Next thing I want, I was like, I think we're going to win by 7 or 10 points. I don't know what that means. I don't know how. I don't know what. So when you said the line is 6.5, I'm like, oh, Vegas might be thinking the same thing I'm thinking. So I hate when people ask this question, but what do you think the final score is going to be? Do you think it's going to be like a high scoring? I guess if it's high scoring, Michigan's in trouble. So I'm assuming you think it's going to be like a low scoring game.
Yeah, relatively conservative scoring game. I don't think so. If I were to have to put a score on it, I'll say 24-20 Michigan.
I'm a little bit more bullish, but I think it's because I think we should take care of business. So I've never really picked a prediction of a game. I'm gonna say this is kind of cool. I've never done this before. I'm going to say because I think Texas scores at least 30 points. So I'm going to say 30. I'm going to say 34-28. I don't know why I said 28 because I was really thinking 24. I was thinking 34-24.
Okay.
I think Texas gets over 30 points. Now, how they get it or what it looks like, but I'm thinking like a 34-24. I think Texas is going to do some dumb things that are going to piss me off, and I think Michigan's going to capitalize on them. But we'll see. It'll be fun. It's Monday. It's Monday of this isn't, what do you call this week? It's not rivalry week. It's not, it's just tough football game week. I don't know. Like, what do you
Tough football game week. I'll take that. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
it is. So
Yeah. So, well, anyways, I appreciate you. Is there anything else that you want to say? I do a terrible job with like letting people that come and talk to me say anything else at the end. Is there anything else that you want to say? Anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to share? Anything?
no, I think in hindsight of things, excited about the game, looking forward to it. Got a couple bets laid down on it. So if Texas does win, that's one thing I should have added in that. If Texas wins, I'm going to be out of quite a few dollars. So that's one thing for sure. But yeah, looking forward to the game. Thanks. Appreciate the platform discussing my take on Michigan. I think all things considered, again, they'll be fine. Like I said, I rely on them sticking to their guns, running the ball, getting in, not putting themselves in third and long, avoid those opportune situations, keeping the ball out of the playmakers that we fear on Texas hands, and playing heavily into the time of possession throughout the game. And that's why I said I think it'll be a relatively low scoring game. I don't think anybody will go over 24 points. Hopefully they pull it out, but if they don't, hey, it's college football. You go into the next week, Arkansas State. But yeah, I'm definitely excited about it. Excited about the game and all the theatrics leading into the games. I know it's crazy around these parts leading into the game, and I want to see who's going to be the guest picker on ESPN.
Yeah, me
and all
too.
that stuff. So,
who do you think you're most worried about on offense, or is it just the offense?
I would say the offense.
Okay. That's what I was thinking, but I was just curious.
The threat of being beat from multiple phases with a complete team full of high caliber athletes, which
come on, say it. Say the word.
Fresno State didn't have.
Full of what? What are they?
High caliber athletes. High caliber athletes. Yeah, that's going to be tough to contain. It's almost pick your poison. So that's why, and that's we do have Wink Martindale, aggressive defensive play caller. So hopefully he sets the tone, and the defense makes plays, gets off the field, and put the offense in advantageous situations to not have to drive 50, 60, 70 yards down the field to score. So that's what I'm depending on. But yeah, that's we'll see what happens at the end of the day.
We will see what happens. And just so everybody knows, I am not a trash talker. I do talk a lot of trash about Texas as a whole, but I don't trash talk to people individually. So you will see no trash talk coming from me because it's not that, first of all, it's not that freaking serious. And second of all, I don't get to play. So if I don't get to play, I don't talk trash. It's just what I subscribe to. But listen, Texas is supposed to be a powerhouse. They're supposed to win this game. They're supposed to go in there and take care of business. And so I'll just lean into that until they show me otherwise. And we'll see. It will be a good matchup. It is Saturday. Today is Monday. So we have a long way to go between now and then. And I will say the one thing I'm looking forward to is I'm looking forward to seeing the packages that Sark can come up with, because I think it's another one of those things that nobody ever talks about is how good of an offensive play caller he is and how he has all these crazy formations. And I'm going to brag about my two freshmen. I cannot wait to see Ryan Wingo against good competition, playing wide receiver. Cannot wait. And I cannot wait to see if Colin Simmons gets into this game. If Colin Simmons gets into this game, I won't say what I'm going to say publicly. I won't say that here. But if Colin Simmons gets into this ball game, Colin Simmons, number 11, Texas defense. If Colin Simmons gets into this football game, Texas is back and everybody can kiss my ass because there's no way he should play and there's no way he should be in this game. But if he gets in, he is a 5-star recruit. Ryan Wingo and him are both 5-star recruits. They're all the things, but they still should not technically be in this game. But if they are in this game, that tells me everything I need to know about the state of this program. So I just want to throw it out there for the people listening. So just Ryan Ringo's number 5, plays wide receiver. Colin Simmons is number 11, plays defense. And that's all I'm going to say. So we'll leave it at that. Obviously I have to say hook 'em because those are my horns and that's what I do. It kind of looks red and orange. I won't even say what color it is. So I'll just leave for people to figure out what color I'm wearing.
It definitely looks orange. It definitely looks burnt orange. So
yeah. Well, because Colorado's playing Nebraska this week, so the whole don't wear red thing or whatever. So, nobody will ever know what color I'm. Well, actually, I've worn this before. I think if you've seen that video, you know what color this is. Yeah. But whatever. Anyways, well, I appreciate you, Laurence. Thank you, chat. Thank you for everybody that's tuning in now. Thank you for everybody that will watch this on the playback also, because who doesn't want to hear about Texas and Michigan, especially this week? So, anyways, everybody have a good rest of your day. Stay safe, and yeah, that's it. We are out of here.
Go Blue.